Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Lance Bachman of oneseo.com. Lance, it's awesome to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be here, Gresh. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I wanted to read a little bit more about Lance so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Lance is the president of oneseo.com, founded the company to help local, national, and international businesses with increasing their online visibility through search engine optimization, and is now a Google Premier partner and Facebook partner, ranking in the top 1% of digital marketing agencies. The former vice president of AT&T and Premise Division's founder of yellowpages.com, Lance is an American entrepreneur and marketer that now heads award-winning agency in addition to his tech and cabling company, Shock IT Support. Since 2009, Lance and OneSEO have cultivated their team and talents, each year expanding and receiving numerous prestigious industry awards, including 3 U.S. Search Award titles. Lance, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I am. I'm fired up today.
Yeah, let's do it. So you're doing so many awesome things. So what I wanted to do to kick everything off, I just wanted to rewind the clock a little bit. Can you take us through what I call your CEO story? We'll let you get started with all the awesome things you're working on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm typical like most CEOs out there. Most CEOs either start right out of college and they know they're an entrepreneur. I went through corporate America, fantastic experience. And then I started at yellowpages.com, Premise Division from 0 to 159 million. At the end, AT&T, it was a turning point for me, crossroads, and I said, I'm going out on my own, and best decision I ever made. And, like everyone else, I mean, when you own your own ship and you run your own ship, it gives you great rewards, and you also have a lot more responsibility and a lot more headache. And I always tell everybody what you see on social media is not real, so don't believe that. You're only getting a little glimpse in time of what that entrepreneur truly looks like. Most of it is crazy days and oh my God, doesn't stop moving.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm glad you bring light to that, because I think so many times, as you say, you see the social media screenshots and you see that snapshot of a person's life, when in reality, a lot of times you don't see obviously what that day looks like, let alone the process that it took to get to where that person is.
Well, I equated to this when I just said this to someone. I said to my son, I have a 30-year-old son, I said, son, that woman you're seeing that just took that selfie on Snapchat or Instagram, whatever it may be, Facebook, it's probably the 60th to 70th snapshot she took before she posted it, right?
Right.
That's what really being an entrepreneur is like. I mean, it is try, keep going, don't quit, and then finally, pop, you made it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it's so funny because, I think I read something recently where it talked about the real kind of determinant for success is not that you hit a home run right when you go up to bat. It's that you continue swinging, and that grit and the ability to continue to persevere, like you spoke to, is really the thing that can help you be successful.
I would hope for all 4 of my sons, they never swing a home run first at bat. I want just the opposite. I want strikeouts. I want balls. I quit my kids wrestle, so I want my kids to get pinned, which they're going to in that sport no matter what. They're going to lose a lot, and I want them to go through the process, and learn how to deal with adversity and be able to deal with failure and keep pushing through. And I call it punching through the ceiling till you get success.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So I know you're running a phenomenal digital marketing agency now. So could you take us through exactly what you're doing and how exactly that experience is working with you and your clients?
I'm very fortunate. I have some of the best clients in the country. We don't have too many international clients anymore. We used to when I first started. Most of our clients are local to the U.S. Very fortunate, and we have some of the best employees, and we have some of the greatest talent in the digital marketing world here. And they work so hard and they sacrifice so much. And they're competitive. They always say, we don't want to play games, we want to win championships. And I love that. They're not happy just making a team. They want to beat the other team. So I love that attitude. We do SEO, PPC, remarketing, email marketing, web development. We're a full digital agency with some of the best talent out there. We won awards. We just won 4 U.S. social media awards, which are very hard to win. It's all data-driven. So that's why I only apply for awards that are data-driven, because the data don't lie, numbers don't lie, people lie about numbers. So especially in this environment we're in right now, a lot of people could argue about that, right? So
exactly. Yeah, no popularity awards is definitely something that's data driven, because as you said, you definitely can understand exactly what you're doing or not doing based off those numbers.
Correct. So, we're a lead generation company for service-based businesses, ultimately, and a branding company, help you build your brand, build your revenue. And for the e-commerce side, same exact thing. We're e-commerce. We help grow your e-commerce sales and help build your brand.
Yeah, I absolutely love that and I appreciate that because I used to say the name of the game is all about being found, visibility. If you can win that game, then you can win those championships that you guys spoke about.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call your secret sauce. And this could be for yourself individually or your agency or a combination of both. But what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
I think first what separates us apart as an agency is our talent here. We have, people always want to smash millennials. They're constantly smashing them. I said, I'll take my millennials against anyone and kick your millennials' asses. And that's not to be mean because I got a bunch of hard-working, dedicated millennials here for the most part. There's always the outliers. I always say there's the door to them, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, over 100-plus employees, and these people sacrifice. They work the hours, they test, they study, they make sure they're making the product better. I mean, they're willing to fail, and they're willing to take chances, and you can't put a price tag on that. So I think that's really the secret sauce. Plus, we have experience. I've been doing this 25 years. I mean, that's a long time, as you know, in this space. I mean, most people haven't been doing this for 3-4 years. The average agency size is somewhere between 6 and 8 people throughout the country. I mean, it takes a lot to build to this size and most of our clients are small, mid-sized businesses. Most people, because we're so large, think we're enterprise. Only about 10 to 15% of my revenue comes from enterprise. Mm-hmm. We love that small, mid-sized client, and we do very well with it. So that's our secret sauce. We know those verticals we're in. We don't take any verticals we can't be successful in, so I think that helps us. As far as my secret sauce, there isn't much to it. I mean, I do the same thing every day, unfortunately. I have a beautiful wife. I have kids that motivate me. I got great brothers and sisters, great mother. And I just think if you are disciplined, and I get up at the same time almost every morning. I work out every single morning. Not that I'm the preacher of health, but I try for my own mental ability. And I work the whole entire day till it's time to take my kids to sports. I mean, I kind of do the same routine every single day. I eat the same foods for the most part. I dress the same clothes. I mean, I think if you keep it pretty simple life, it's easy to navigate such choppy waters.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think, like, as we were talking about that social media snapshot, I think so many times you can lose the sight of the small things, so to speak, that build up into the big things, and that consistency that you talked about, the hard work that you talked about with your team. And I think if we lose sight of those foundational elements, then we lose sight of that ability to grab that success.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think people want instant gratification now, too. So I think the biggest problem is this, right? You have Tinder, Grindr, Uber, mm-hmm. Uber Eats, Airbnb. I mean, you name it, you could have it pretty much instantaneously. And the most important things in your life, from sex to where you sleep to where you drive. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about it. So people think becoming a millionaire should be instant also. People think building a company should be like instant coffee. And it's so true, not so false. Like, it's the furthest thing. And people just, I'll give you an example. I had a young woman call me, and she was out of New York, and she's like, oh, I got referred to you. I'm so happy you called me back. Bernie called her. I was on the call. And she's like, I don't know why I'm not getting any traction on there's a podcast and a blog in one, right? So I'm like, she goes, I've been doing it for 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, my God. And I just said, Bernie, I just said to her nicely, I said, if you're going to take 2 weeks and that's all you have and you think you should be an instant success, you're missing the boat. This takes years and years of sticking with it and grinding through it and falling and seeing what you do well and making it better and keep changing. So, but that's what some people expect. I think that's actually the majority anymore, Rush, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you spoke to the 20 plus years that you have in the industry, because I think, again, so many times you see the success, but you don't see the process that it takes to be there. And I think that's to a detriment of, the actual work that you do, but also the person that's starting out and thinks that there's an easy button to get to where you are, but not realizing that it's the time, the consistency, the work, and the talent that you have around you that's allowed you to be successful.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing I always say, anyone that's successful, they got great talent around me. I have an incredible leadership team here, got great partners. I'm a very lucky guy. I'm the most blessed man in the world.
Absolutely. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
I think, what makes any CEO or anyone effective is having a routine. I think most people, and I call it if you ever read the book Traction, you get caught up on shiny things. And that's the worst thing people do. I see it all the time. Friends of mine, they'll be talking to me in parking lots or wherever it might be. Oh, well, I see this guy making money in this or this guy making money in this. I think I'm going to go do that. And I'm like, that person's been doing that 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You didn't see the beginning struggles. And that's where people, if you focused on what you're doing and became great at it and had a routine with it, you're most likely going to become very successful. I mean, that's all I do. I tell everyone. People say, Lance, what's your secret to success? I tell everyone this. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the brightest guy in the room. I don't speak the best in the room. But I promise you this. I'm going to outwork you. That I promise you. You're going to have to kill me to outwork me. I hope you don't like sleep. I mean, I got back last night at 10:30 from wrestling. And literally at 4 o'clock this morning, I was up doing my routine. Same business as usual. That's why my voice is scratchy from coaching all weekend. And most people just aren't that disciplined. Most people would have slept in this morning and they would have made excuses. And that's where the breakdown happens. And then if you don't have some success in something, they give up immediately and they start focusing on other things. I actually got caught up in that at one point here. One SEO has been growing year after year after year. Shock IT, I bought that. I started going really heavily into real estate and other things. And then I saw my own, farm, business, house, my loved ones here didn't have my full attention. I immediately pivoted back and said, I can't take my focus off. And, that's my biggest piece of advice to give everyone. Focus on what you're great at.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and it's so funny because when you were speaking, Attraction is a phenomenal book, and I was thinking of Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, the 10,000 hours, and you can't ignore those 10,000 hours as you talked about the 5 to 10 years of somebody continually kind of beating at their craft, so to speak, and be successful. And I like too how you mentioned focusing on your thing and then starting to branch out, and it reminded me of The One Thing, which is also a phenomenal book because a lot of times when you're able to focus your energies on one thing, and it knocks not just that domino over, but so many other dominoes over because 100%. You've been able to be great.
100%.
Awesome. So now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Go for it. Don't be afraid to fail. I tell my son all the time, don't be afraid to lose. Go for the win. Like, just go for it. Like, so many people are so afraid of what their friends think of them, their family members, but you don't understand. It's not about them. It's about you. And they didn't have the guts or the ante to ante up and go for it, and you did. So I'll take anyone that literally. Now, the one thing I always say when I see any youth kid playing any sport, whatever it is, I saw a young kid. He was probably 8, 9 years old. Yesterday, give an example. He was down by 8 points going to the third, and he tried to hit the kid in the cradle the whole entire time. He was going for the win the whole entire time, even though he was down. He didn't just lay it up and go. That's going to follow him through in life. Go for the win. Don't be afraid to fail. That last piece of that nugget. Don't worry about what people think of you, because haters are going to hate. People want you to be successful, not more successful than them.
Absolutely. No, that definitely hits home. And I think that when you have that mentality, as you talked about going for the win, you hear that a lot in football, especially too, when they say they play prevent defense to make sure that they win, when in reality, that kind of prevents them from winning. Actually, it's counterintuitive, but because you're so scared of letting things kind of go the way that they have been going, you're not continuing to innovate, not continuing to try different things. You're not continuing to go for the win, as you said.
Yeah, I'd rather lose and see one of my sons lose than play prevent and try and just hold on to a win. Right? Go for it, make it sound. That's going to follow you through. My brother always said to me, Lance, you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword, when I was younger. So I was just, different type of kid. And I was okay with that. And I carry that to, at 46 years of age, I'm going to go for it every single time.
Absolutely. I love that. And now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Lance, what does being a CEO mean to you?
I mean, CEO to me is almost the same as being a father. People trust you. People trust your vision. Some people don't when they leave. Having to make the right choices, having to make the hard choices, having to put the company, your employees before you. I mean, which is not always easy for someone that went into business to be a businessman to make money, right? So sometimes making money and doing the right thing don't always align with each other, right? So because you want to make money, so you might cut a corner here, or you might. So I think that's the biggest balancing act. And fortunately for me, I got great people around me. I think being a CEO is making sure your clients are taken care of first, your employees are taken care of second, the company third, then you as a whole. And I think if you have that reverse pyramid, you're going to have great success and you're going to make money. And I always say to people, how much money do you really need? Some people go so overboard where they wind up burning down the house to be greedy. And that's just not a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many times, as you said, through those external influences, we lose sight of what success actually means to us, and making sure that we understand that, and being that father figure, as you talked about too, to so many different people, and having that responsibility and carrying through on so many different levels so that we can, be successful as well, is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I got 100+ people that have to pay rent, pay their car payments, make sure their insurance is paid, make sure they're feeding their children. That's a lot of responsibility. People don't understand that. People only see me driving the car or going on a vacation on social media. They don't see the stress of me making sure all these mouths are fed and making sure everyone's taken care of. So if you're a caring person, which I am, and I think that's what really helps separate you as a small business, medium-sized business compared to other companies, you're going to care about your employees, and I call them family. I just think you better make sure you take care of them. That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're really passionate about what it is that you do, and you have that service-based mentality, and that overflows itself in so many different ways. It definitely is hard not to be able to do that. So I appreciate you for reminding us of that. Appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about everything you and your awesome team are working on.
Well, I mean, best way to get a hold of me is www.oneseo.com. That's SamuelEdwardOscar.com. You'll see all our information there. The best thing I would say to anyone watching this, and you want to be a CEO or you are a CEO and you're struggling, just stay with it, grind through it, have fun, have strategy, leverage other people you know. You'd be surprised how many other business owners want to help other business owners. Like, that's the one circle you have that really wants to see you be successful. Every business owner I know that I'm friends with, I hope they surpass me. I hope they blow by me and they make tons and tons, because as your network keeps growing, they're going to bring you along with them, and that's what it's all about. Utilize your network, utilize that for education so you have the right strategy, and you're going to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about being successful. Success is a team sport, as you said so well. And I think when you are able to surround yourself with a phenomenal team, then you get that opportunity to succeed in so many different ways. So truly appreciate that, Lance. I appreciate your time again. We will have the links and information in the show notes, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you so much for asking me to be on, Gresh. I enjoyed it.
All right, and I'll cut it off here. Hello. This is Gresh again from the I Am CEO podcast, and we had a phenomenal interview with Lance Bachman of oneseo.com. And Lance has done so many, awesome things in his business and in his life as well too. And what I want to do is just kind of give you the opportunity, Lance, for people that are just listening to this aspect. Could you introduce them to One SEO, exactly what you do and how you help support the clients you work with?
I'm Lance Bachman. I'm president of One SEO. We're a full digital marketing agency here out of Philadelphia with over 100 employees. We do SEO, PPC, social media. We're a full digital agency. We help service-based businesses get leads to grow their brand and company, and e-commerce-based businesses to grow their revenue.
Awesome. And I know one of the things that we talked about a lot, you gave so much value like during the interview, was just kind of how you surround yourself in so many different ways, whether it be other business owners or even teammates or people that you're hiring as well too. How important is it to have that environment, have those people around you for you to be successful?
I claim it as this: if you hang out with losers, you're going to be a loser. If you hang out with trouble, you're going to get in trouble. If you hang out with winners, most likely you're going to become a winner. It's no different than if you are in a great wrestling room constantly, you're going to become a good wrestler, or you're going to leave and go to another wrestling room and you're just going to fail. So your people that you surround yourself with really are such a core crux of who you become, and they're going to give you vision, strategy, experience, talk you off the ledge. I just believe in people so much. I think they help everything. But make
Yeah.
sure it's the right people, because they'll burn the house down on you.
Very true. You don't want those losers around because you definitely be the if you have two losers around you, you'll definitely be the third loser. So what I love too that we kind of talked about during the show is when I grew up, basketball season and wrestling season were always at the same time. So I never did wrestling anytime except in gym. But I've always loved, and this came up during our interview, was I felt like there's such strong lessons that you can learn from sports that you can also attribute to business and so many different aspects of your life. I heard you mention wrestling a couple times during the interview and just now. Could you take us through a little bit more on like how you feel like that translates and kind of spills over into life and business?
I don't just think it's wrestling. I think it's any sport, like you said. I think if you know how to handle adversity, number one, I think that's going to help you. Number two, being a good teammate. In business, you need great teammates, right? Number one's adversity. You're going to have a ton of adversity in business. I promise you. It's the trend. I tell people it's a roller coaster, right? There is no business like this. Even Google, they weren't sure what was going to happen until they got Eric Schmidt, and then it just hit a home run. I'm sure they have challenges. They just laid a bunch of people off. Facebook did. So it's a constant roller coaster, right? Then you have teammates. You got to be able to work together, right? Number three, communication. If you play a sport, you're pretty good at communication normally. I mean, there's not too many shy, introverted people. And even if they are, they still become good communicators from pass me the ball, learn how to read a defense, whatever it may be, 52 is the mic, whatever it may be, what they're doing, and then leadership ability. I truly believe any athlete, no matter what it is, has some type of leadership ability in them, because the great teams, whether it be junior high, elementary school, whether it be high school or college, the leaders make the other kids better around them without even knowing it. And that's why I just think sports is just the best thing for any child to play. And I think it's a game changer for it to equate into business, no matter what it may be. I don't care if it's bowling. I don't care if it's Yahtzee. I don't care what the sport is. You got to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. You get those lifelong lessons that you can kind of use in business and other aspects of our lives as well too. And I think what we kind of talked about too is I think so many times we see where a person is, and we don't recognize all those steps, whether it be playing sports when they're 5-10 years old, that add up into who that person is. And that's something that I know that you mentioned as well during the interview. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think as you keep going through the learning process, I mean, from the time from the time kids are 5, 6, 7-year-olds, my brother Fred once said to me, from the time a boy is 6 years old, he knows who the alpha male in the room is, and so does a woman. And I never believed that till I had children myself, and I see it now. I see the kids bullying other kids at 6 years old, 7 years old, and you're at 46, you forget what you were like at 6. I was probably one of those kids too, right? So, wait, that doesn't mean you're going to be a good leader or a good athlete. And I see a lot of parents not shaping those kids today. They just let it happen. And they actually encourage it kind of. It's kind of weird to watch it unravel. So I'm very keen to what's going on. I'll watch a dad see his son bully someone, and he doesn't say a word. But as soon as his son gets bullied, he's speaking up right away. So it's very mind-blowing to me, that part of it. But I think if you just watch how a good parent handles their child and watch them handle a lot of different situations, it's going to build such good character that's going to go into the business world, to other worlds, or you're going to have what I had. I got in trouble as a child a lot. I went through a lot of growing pains. And even in my adult corporate world, I had some hiccups because I made some dumb mistakes. And that's where I just think if you give your child the right character at a young age and let them play sports and deal with other kids, it's going to help them so much in the business world, and they probably won't have as many hiccups because that character will be built from the ground up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you said, probably wouldn't have as many hiccups, because I think that, especially as we talked about, the interview, those ups and downs, that roller coaster ride is going to happen regardless. And it doesn't matter whether or not, you've played it perfectly, so to speak, you're still going to have those ups and downs, because that's just how life goes. And we're experiencing obviously a disruptive time as well now too. So do you feel like it's those kind of foundational things, or better yet, what do you feel can lead you with the tools maybe to make those pivots and changes when those bad things do happen?
I think understand that you're going to get through it. I promise you that. Nothing's that life earth-shattering. I mean, unless you get sentenced to a 40-year life prison sentence or something like that. But but in the real general terms, nothing's that earth-shattering. I tell people, if your wife leaves you, you're going to be okay. You lose your job, you're going to be okay. Your business goes under, you're going to be okay. These aren't, as long as you have your health, you're going to be okay. Like I tell people, I don't need much. If my kids are healthy and my family's healthy, I can start all over. We live in the greatest country in the world, in my opinion. You don't need much to start a business. You need a laptop, a cell phone, some strategy, hustle, master your craft, and have the guts to go out there and just start talking to people and give good value. Make it a value proposition, and you're going to be successful. The problem is most people today want a one-way value proposition to be beneficial for them. It's not mutually beneficial, and that's where a lot of people mess up, but you got to make it mutual beneficial. So I think that's where adversity is the biggest thing. If you can overcome adversity, you'll be able to pivot. I mean, think about what the environment we're in right now. So many people are crumbling. No fault of their own. They over-leveraged. They thought it was always going to be raining money. I mean, this is '08 again, just in a different cause, right? It's not the housing crash. It's not the banking crash. It's the COVID crash, right? I mean, so, but you got to be able to pivot right away. The people that saw all this coming and knew it wasn't always going to rain money are going to be through this. The people that managed their money well are going to get through this. The people that gave true value to their customers are going to get through this. The ones that didn't, they're going to fold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you said, understanding the value that you give in so many different levels is insanely important. And a lot of times people will, cause a time like this. The COVID crash is a perfect way to say it, but definitely a correction, because a lot of times people get over leveraged. They're not actually providing the value that they could. So a lot of times it gets exposed during times like this. But if you're always value driven, it gives you that opportunity to kind of be successful and kind of get through these rocky times.
Well, think about this. The housing market's at an all-time high right now, right? It's boom where you are in D.C. You're down there by Alexandria, Virginia. I mean,
Right.
it's just skyrocketing, right?
Still
Everything's skyrocketing. Houses on the market for one day, people are paying by $50,000, $100,000, $25,000 all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the stock market's like this. Unemployment's going up, down like this. How does that not crash?
Right.
Right? It's not always going to be 10, 20% gains in your house. Now, long term, there will be, but if you're only buying for 5, 6, 7 years, I don't know. I just think people don't really look and say, take a clear, deep breath and say, let me make sure my strategy's correct, what I'm doing is right, correct. And they just jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm glad you showed those different signs, because I think so many times people don't see kind of like the forest for the trees. They don't see those patterns and see that something isn't consistently right. So maybe I need to double check that. Maybe I need to check my strategy again to kind of see what's happening from that vantage point. But I think you're absolutely right from, that standpoint and so many more, and being able to kind of see and understand what's happening, what's moving, and then be able to make the actions related to that.
100%.
Awesome. Well, Lance, I truly appreciate your time again. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic one more time just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
You can get a hold of me at www.oneseo.com. That's SamuelEdwardOscar.com. Feel free. So it's oneseo.com. And have fun, go for it, enjoy yourself, and make sure you enjoy what you're doing every day, because you only get so many years here, so many hours here, and you spend more of it working than anything else. You might as well try and enjoy the best of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you said constantly is go for the win. So I appreciate you giving us the tools and the keys on how to go for the win. So truly appreciate you, my friend. We'll have the links and information in the show notes. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you so much.